Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Rich Review. So I just got seeing the first film of the 2021 Virginia Film Festival. This happens to be The French Dispatch. This is the latest coming from Wes Anderson, who happens to direct this thing and also happens to co-write this thing with Jason Schwartzman and Roman Coppola and one other guy that I have never heard of. It's supposed to be a love letter to journalism, and quite frankly so, I absolutely agree with that. And also, apparently this cost $25 million, but if you are a fan of Mr. Anderson's work, you come to realize what costs all that amount of money to make these films, because they look like they are made by $1.50. The French Dispatch, I guess from what I've been told, is partially inspired by The New Yorker, but here it's fictional. And also let me state that almost everyone who's been collaborating with Wes Anderson for the past so many years is in this film. Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, Adrian Brody, and Angelica Houston, and plenty of other people. And from the Vice Provost's mouth, he said there are at least 30 cameos in this particular film. Now, if you can count the 30, that'd be awesome, because I don't think I quite count that high, or at least because I had to figure out who some of these people were that were making the cameos, but at least I counted a couple that some people might recognize. Bill Murray character, who owns the French Dispatch, has passed away, but obviously in the meantime we were being told by these people how much they love the Bill Murray character, particularly one very cute joke involving pickpocketers then and now. But as the film wore on, I laughed less, although I certainly was in on what Wes Anderson was trying to say. That main ancillary stuff is voiced by Angelica Houston. The first story is called The Concrete Masterpiece, in which we have Benicio del Toro as a mad prisoner who happened to stab a couple of people, and what do you know, he decides to make art. And what do you know, one of his main muses happens to be Léa Seydoux, and when we first see Léa Seydoux, she's butt naked. Which is like, hooray, we finally get to see Léa Seydoux butt naked, because hey look, James Bond franchise didn't allow her to be necessarily naked. Now obviously his work leads to the idea that, oh yeah, Adrian Brody, who's playing an actual character, or inspired an actual character, who was a British art dealer at the turn of the 20th century, is like, I want to buy your art and have it all splattered about the art world. Now granted, I don't know much about art, I don't know what sells or what is considered hot these days, but clearly Benicio del Toro is just sort of like, whatever man. The Andrew Brody character has been indicted for tax fraud. Once he gets out, it's like, hey yeah, can I get this guy out of prison, which is sort of funny because what he's being convicted of is like, yeah, you don't want this guy out. Now the Adrian Brody character convinces two of his business partners, one of whom has to be Bob Balaban, the other is Henry Winkler, and it's always wonderful to see the Fonz in a film. And then he also convinces a major art dealer in the form of Lois Smith, who has been around for a very long time. And, again, there are some amusing moments in this particular segment. All the while, this is being narrated by Tilda Swinton. The second story here is called Revisions of a Manifesto. And this is probably the most basic story. There's nothing really to the story. Is that, oh yeah, Timothée Chalamet is trying to start a revolution. And covering this revolution is the journalist, played here by, Frances McDormand. And really, Timothée Chalamet is the flavor of the month. I'm sorry, I don't understand why Timothée Chalamet is getting all these roles, but clearly he's the flavor of the month, and he wants to get laid. And now, all throughout this film, there are some black and white segments, there are some color segments, and does it work? Sure. Now, the third story here is called The Private Dining Room of the Police Commissioner, in which it stars, Jeffrey Wright, essentially doing James Baldwin, but it's also, according to Wikipedia, channeling another New Yorker writer who I had never even heard of. And there's particularly one very weird scene here involving a police chase in which it goes to convict form. Now I have to wonder if that was due to COVID or not. Outside of Grand Budapest Hotel, which I thought was wonderfully weird and delightful to watch, most of the films get on my last nerve. And some people as I was walking out of this film here, some people like, that was one of the weirdest things that they ever saw. And granted, yes, that is exactly Wes Anderson's style, is get weird. and to think to yourself, okay, what the hell did I just watch? Now also, Jeffrey Wright is narrating this while he's sort of on a Dick Cavett type talk show. Well, I think, does all of it work? No. Yeah, folks, what I'm going to say about the French Dispatch, and apparently this is going to be playing currently right now, and I'll try to get this out right now as possible. I'm going to say I'm going to give this a, I'll be generous and say a subsequent weekend ranking, because if you're ready for a weird, wacky Wes Anderson film, this might be the thing for you. So, folks, the French Dispatch, have you seen this? What do you think? Please put everything in the comment box below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe. Enrich yourself with knowledge. I'm at Michael Richard, Richard2 on Twitter. I'll see you next time, folks, with my latest film from the Virginia Film Festival. Yes, hooray.